My ex said, "You think life is just one big playground?" I went, "Well, yeah, it is."
I always knew my mom was special.
I want to keep riding into my 90s. Around 1993, I got my first real mountain bike. My ex and I did have kind of different values in regard to lifestyle. He got pretty annoyed with me, and one time he said that, "You think life is just one big fucking playground?" And I went, "Well, yeah, it is." I thought that was a compliment.
A lot of people think that the U.S. invented mountain biking. The North Shore invented mountain biking. Back in the 90s was so extreme, there was only 30 people riding up here in a month.
They were really into elevated skinnies and doing launches off of rock faces. It's hard to imagine because it never shows on film how difficult it is. Digger, he's probably the first trail builder on the shore.
I built the first roller coaster in the world on a mountain bike trail. Betty rode it 3 times. The 3rd time she pulled her shoulder out and dislocated her shoulder, and I had to pop it back in. And I think she was like 55 when she did that. That's the shot I used.
I broke this arm and dislocated this shoulder at the same time. I've broken this hand, I've broken this wrist, plate in here, torn my rotator cuff a few times, gazillions of scars on my legs, broken lots of ribs. It didn't seem to bother me just, getting smashed up all the time.
In those days, there wasn't very many men to find to ride with, let alone women who would ride the stuff that Betty rode. So she just started riding with the gang.
Betty is a legend on the North Shore. Some of the OG riders around here, if I ever am riding with her, they'll say, "Hi, Betty," and I feel like I'm with a celebrity. It feels pretty cool. She's absolutely capable and can handle anything the North Shore throws at her.
As I've gotten older, the trails have gotten better, less gnarly, and the bikes have gotten so much better. There's so many trails out there now, and there's so many people now. I mean, I expect that there's going to be more and more people in their 60s and 70s that are riding more difficult trails.
Betty Burrell is a flight attendant living in Canada. She was one of the first women in Hawaii to sail in the waves.
The first time that I jumped waves was July 4th weekend of 1979. For quite a while, I was the only woman sailing in waves that were, of any decent size. I think they were the biggest waves ever sailed at that time. Fellow windsurfers, they imposed the title of me being the best woman wave sailor in the world. I pioneered women's wave sailing. That era, most of my friends got married in their mid-20s and started having kids. Oh. That's my husband-to-be. You can see why he married me. I knew I wanted kids someday, but then all of a sudden I go, oh my God, I'm like 39. And fortunately I got pregnant and, I've had lots of fun adventures in my life, but being a mom was the best adventure. I've got some deviled egg here. And just use that instead of mayonnaise, okay?
What kind of lunches did Mom pack you as a kid?
Healthy lunches, only healthy lunches. Let's just say no one would trade any lunch items with me.
Want some sprouts, Hayden? I don't think that it had kicked in yet, that protective nature you have as a parent. I did some pretty high wind windsurfing, and I remember going over the handlebars once, and I came home and I told my husband, and he was furious.
Oh, spillage.
When Hayden was about 2, I became a single mom. That gauge is like very average. At first, becoming a single mom, it was pretty stressful. It was a struggle to find that new path, but I just was always reinventing. How can I make this work? I was a flight attendant at the time, and I worked weekends. You were basically like a zombie when you came back. But I would get back on a Sunday, and I could be home all week to be a mom. Being a single mom, mountain biking just fit in so well because I had this all-time sports buddy to do things with. Before I became a mom, I always felt that I didn't care whether I had a boy, a girl, could be anything they wanted as long as they weren't a wimp. I don't know how I would deal with a wimp. And Hayden was never a wimp. His first real mountain bike. He loved that bike. He was so proud of it. And there's Hayden at the bike park in Whistler.
There was a point when I was starting high school and there was a decision to play school sports or not. And I chose to not and to go biking with Mom. She recognized that there was ability there and that I could do it. And it was just about convincing me that I could do it.
I love the expression on his face.
She was happy as long as I was happy.
A lot of the peak poses are so corny. Oh yeah, see, there's that's what I mean about corny.
Oh, look at your harnesses. It's just webbing around your waist.
Yeah, you're right. It was a spectacular area. That's
where I've gone in my life. It's been very much because of the life that she has lived and kind of the things that she's taught me and the path that she went down. I always knew my mom was something special and that she was extraordinary.
I would describe Betty as an amazing inspiration. She's paving the way for other people to keep riding and to never say never.
I am approaching 50, and I thought my biking career was going to plateau. You know, you have a few falls, and you're like, you don't recover, and you have lots of responsibility with your regular life. But then Betty just started riding right around 45, 46, and she just got better from there. So when I think about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 20 more years to get better.
She doesn't want to be limited by her age. If you're gonna not let limitations hold you back, you gotta continue to push forward.
I went through a stage where
We got everything?
I realized I can't do that anymore. If it's a steep rock pitch, fine, but you take that same pitch and you put it on a ladder bridge, I can't do that. I had to go around. Oh, my chain's off. Dang. My friends are still doing it and I'm not. And it was frustrating. It was just a process. You just accept it. You finally accept it. It doesn't matter what age or what level you're at, you still feel like you're fast. That's what it's really about, is that feeling of freedom. When I started mountain biking at 45, I never envisioned that I'd still be able to mountain bike like this at 73. I want to keep riding into my 90s. There's so many mountain bikers out there now. There's so many women now. So the young people, they've got so many role models. But older people, they just need to know that you can keep going.
Oh, wow. Who is Betty Burrell? I've only ridden with her, I think once, because she was too good for me. She'd kick my ass. Every time she sees me, she stops and then she goes, "Do you remember me?" "Well, yeah, Betty, of course I do." "I put your shoulder back into its socket, remember?" She was in 2 casts, dislocated shoulder. She couldn't even wipe her own ass. Yeah, the trails have gotten fucking easy. Back then, nobody knew these trails. I would say to people, if I see you riding my trail with someone else, I'm going to break your baby finger. And you should see how many people who are walking around with casts that year.